Welcome to the Halloween Trick or Treat division of. You know what? It's took us like 30 minutes to get on. I tried to make a joke of it. Now my phone's falling, so I'm gonna take a pack of crackers and prop it up. He's Howie Cheney. He's Phil Harris. I'm White Trash Randall Cunningham. Welcome to Beyond the Booth. Thought we'd just get on here tonight and ask our two preeminent guests a couple of questions. Let's start over here with Phil. How are you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm doing well. Of course, everybody that's expecting John Kirby to be on tonight, he had a family ordeal come up and we'll reschedule. He really apologized. He hated not going to be here, but sometimes there's more important things in life. So
absolutely.
And everybody send up a prayer for him too. We won't discuss what the issue is, but send up a little prayer for him.
Just know that we will get him on here. We will talk to him, and right now his family's in our prayers. That's all we can say. Phil, got some questions I want to fire at you.
Okay.
One question. First question to you. Why is Pisgah beating Fife the most important game of the year?
Well, I think it kind of changes the landscape a little bit. Everybody's always pointing to Fife. Everybody's pointing to Fife. They've won, and I think that mystique that's kind of hit Pisgah. Yeah, you have a great football team, but you can't beat Fife. Well, see, now they finally did it. Now, I guess you could say they're the king of the mountain. They're the hunted. So it's totally changed things on the mountain. And, I wouldn't say it's a great thing, but it's kind of something new. But don't take anything away from the Fife Red Devils. They're going to be there in the end in Class
3A. And got to get Logan Anderson healthy. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. So, of course, they're not a one-man show naturally, but he makes them an elite team, from a great team to an elite team. He is a difference maker, and just having him on the field makes everybody else better.
Howie Cheney, welcome in, buddy.
Hey, man. How's it going?
It's good. I have the same question for you with a slightly different twist. Why is Sylvania beating Geraldine the most important game on the mountain so far this year?
Well, it basically boils down to what Phil said. Fife is the team to beat on Sand Mountain. And with the way things have gone over the last few years, Fife is always region. And with going to 3A, that puts Sylvania, Geraldine, Fife, Collinsville, the three teams in this region. I hate to say it, but they're kind of fighting for second place to a certain extent, but
accurate.
That's why they play the games. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. A follow-up slightly, and you and I do the Tanner Nelson show on Tuesday. After that North Jackson loss, there was a lot of down faces, including mine and yours, but North Jackson's a better football team than we thought they were.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What was it? They beat Sylvania 13 or 14-6 or something like that. And then they went and played a good Scottsboro team and only got beat by 6 points, something like that. So North Jackson's a lot better than everybody anticipated, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, to hold a Sylvania team that's averaging, over 20 points a game right now, and a Scottsboro team that's averaging over 30 points a game to the amounts that they did. So North Jackson is very good defensively, and if their offense ever catches up with defense, North Jackson is going to be a hard team to beat.
Got to follow up that, Phil.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Howie's exactly right. I mean, that was kind of a measuring stick game. Of course, we all knew North Jackson's going to be better because of the way they finished last year. And I think that Sylvania folks was a little disappointed. They had some, they struggled at quarterback play in the first game of the year. But when you jump right out of the gate and play a quality football team like that, you find out who you are real fast. Well, they had about a week or about 2 weeks to stew on that one. And I think they kind of closed ranks a little bit and figured out, hey, North Jackson, they made us look bad, but we're not as bad as we think. So now they have bounced back and put together 2 good performances, and I think they're back where they need to be.
And this kind of leads into my next question, and I'll probably let both of you answer this one, Howie. So I'll probably come to you with a follow up to Phil's answer. Tyler Van's got Scottsboro at 4-0, probably going to go 5-0 this week. How far can the Scottsboro Wildcats go in the 2024 season?
To me, I mean, of course, you've got Jake Jones. He's got to stay healthy. He's their go-to man in short yardage situations. They have been able to run the football, but the things that I have been impressed with is they've been able to wear people down, and that made the difference in that game this past week against Douglas. It was close early, but Scottsboro wore them down, and I think that showed the work in the weight room. And I'm going to tell you something. Everybody talks about Jake Jones and the offense. Scottsboro's pretty darn good defensively.
Yeah, I agree. I agree totally. Howie, a follow up to that. With Coach Van's success at Sylvania, if he goes 2 rounds in the playoffs, will it be considered a failure?
I don't think so, because of the fact of it's his first year there. You want to do great your first year, but you can't consider it a failure if you don't, win it all. I mean, who has actually won it all in the state on their first year? But we know Coach Tyler Van very well, and anything other than a state championship will be a disappointment to him. But it's kind of like what he told Phil and Jeff on his on the scoreboard show the other night. He wished he had that senior class for 4 years for them to work in the weight room and everything. And so, he's getting established down there and getting everything the way he wants it. And a lot of good things are going to happen for Scottsboro.
Howie, you just said something that leads me into a question I want to ask you, Phil. Pisgah, Sylvania, Geraldine, Scottsboro, Fife especially, they all seem to have that weight room in common. In 2024, why is the weight room that important?
Well, I think it comes down to it's a great way to build team camaraderie for one thing, but everybody's hitting the weight room now. Valley Head, it's a big thing for them. They win games in the fourth quarter. I think for a while it got to be kind of a finesse game, but it's gotten to be back more toward a physical game. But these teams don't hit in practice like they used to. Used to in the old days, you line up and you beat each other to death, and that's what you did to the other team. Well, I think coaches with the numbers today want to stay away from that. So what's the better way of being physical? You get them in the weight room. And that way they do a lot of their work in that weight room, and then you just do teaching and fundamentals when you get out on the field. So the weight room has become very important, and it's gotten widespread everywhere.
Yeah, very much. And Howie, the weight room under Tyler Van at Sylvania was as key to their success as anything. A small school with a good weight program, it can make. I mean, Fife, you're good friends with Coach Benefield. He believes in the weight room. Coach Van believes in the weight room. But they've also made it fun. I mean, they have competitions and lift off and max out. Back in our days, it wasn't that way. So, have they been able to make the weight room fun?
No, to be honest with you, and I'm just talking about Coach Benefield. His first year at Savannah, my senior year, and even though I didn't play football, the basketball team got in the weight room with the football team as well. And his idea of having fun is going out and knocking somebody down on Friday night. Between it and going to state competitions and winning it, that's the fun part. It wasn't, you didn't really have fun. It was a business. It was straight up business with Coach Benefield back then, and I'm sure it is right now. But kind of like what Phil said, it was finesse there for a while, but now it's so physical. And the biggest part of that is because of Coach Benefield winning in the weight room, and now everybody wants to copy him and do what he's doing.
Set a standard, Phil.
He did set a standard. And like what you're saying, Howie, and he's told me this, is there's no music played. It's all business. You know, a lot of coaches kind of spin off from that and do things a little different. They kind of sort of make it, a little more exciting where you kind of sort of look forward to it instead of dreading it. I think a lot of coaches have gotten to there, because I remember back in the days when we went in the rec room, we dreaded the weight room worse than we did practice a lot of times, because there just wasn't any fun involved. But, Coach Benefield don't really make it fun, but he makes it challenging.
The fun comes after they win that state title and they get that ring and that big banquet and all that stuff. That's where the fun.
Absolutely. Phil, I want to jump up, come right back to you, Howie, kind of a follow-up to this. Phil, I want to jump out of state with you for a minute. Why? And I'm wearing my Hickson Wildcat. This is the Batcat, y'all, available through the Hickson Quarterback Club. It's a new logo that Hickson's kicked off. I think it looks better than the old Wildcat. Phil, why does the city and the county of Hamilton County struggle so much outside of the private schools and football? Do you have a thought?
Well, a lot of that, I think, most of our schools around here and in the small schools are community oriented. And they're going to back their team if they're 2-8, 8-2. It doesn't matter. They're coming. They're going to go to football games. Like when you're talking about in the bigger cities like Huntsville, like Chattanooga, you have your loyal fan base and students and the parents of the kids, but the community a lot of times not really involved. The alumni goes away. They move away. They're not a lot involved. In these smaller communities, the alumni are there every Friday night.
That's true. Very, very much true. Howie, in the same vein, I know you don't watch any Chattanooga football. You're Sylvania. At the same vein, when you think of Chattanooga football as an outsider, what's your thoughts on it?
I kind of want to piggyback on what Phil's talking about as far as around here in DeKalb County, Jackson County. If you go to school, I bet 80% of the teachers are from that school.
Yeah.
So the community. You get up there to the Chattanoogas, the bigger schools, the Chattanoogas, the Atlanta, Georgias, and all that. The kids are not from that area. They probably get bussed in from somewhere else, just because their parents may want them to go to a different place, and so they don't have that backing like you do in the smaller schools, like Phil was talking about. I mean, it's just take for instance at Sylvania, the principal, Heath Kirby, he went to school at Sylvania for a little while before, his dad and all them went to Valley Head. You go around and look, it's probably 80, and I'm probably on the low side, but most of the faculty and the support staff are from that school that they're at.
Very interesting.
And even coaches, Coach Hammond at Valley Head went to school at Valley Head. Coach had him on the show. Coach Coach Grant from Ider?
Yeah.
Grant from Ider. He's from Ider. Coach Benefield graduated from Fife. So Coach Davis is from Gerald.
Yeah.
All these schools. Coach Elmore is from Fort Payne. So most of your coaches are from that school.
And a lot of their staff is from their school too, also. And to piggyback on what you're saying about teachers being in that same school, well, they also support the program, which they keep the students involved. And if you keep the students involved, you're going to have parents involved. So, it's a win-win situation the way you're talking about, Howie, when you have so many teachers that are from your school.
Yeah. And plus with all the Chattanooga, probably just 9 through 12 of the big schools there in Chattanooga has as many kids, if not more, than most of the schools down here in DeKalb, Jackson County have from K through 12.
Yeah, well, I can use Hickson, for example, because that's where Annalise in school. And right now, of her 4 best friends that went to elementary school together, One of them's at Saudi Daisy. One of them's two of them's at CLS, and Annalise at Hickson. So of four friends that went from kindergarten to the 5th grade together, they're at 3 different high schools, and that makes a difference. All right, guys. I don't know where I'm at, but I'll come back to you, Howie, for one last just a quick one. What game would you want to see if you could set up the Howie Cheney Bowl that doesn't get played?
As far as just in Alabama or anywhere?
Anywhere.
You want to go best against the best, which it'll probably never happen, but I think it'd be interesting to see what Fife could do against Thompson and vice versa. 2 of the state powerhouses, in their respective classification. It'll never happen because Thompson's 7A and Fife is 3A now, but that'd be interesting to see.
I thought you were going to say 5 South Pittsburgh when you first started talking, which I think a lot of people would say. Phil, do you have one?
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but it happened back years ago. I'd like to see Valley Head play against Fort Payne. But when you're looking at 1A versus 6A, that's not going to happen. But back in the old days down here, they used to play on Thanksgiving Day back years ago, and that would be neat to see.
I'll throw a couple of that I have. First of all, it's a shame that Marion County doesn't play South Pittsburgh again. Come on, guys. Get that figured out. That game needs to be played. Whatever the reason, let's put it behind us. Marion County and South Pittsburgh need played.
They're a 20-minute drive away from each other and they don't play?
A 5-minute drive away from each other.
Well, I'm talking about a busy Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's you could almost take a good driver and hit it in about 5 shots, Another one that I would like to see that don't happen that did used to kind of happen, I'd like to see one of the big North Georgia schools come to Tennessee and play a Chattanooga area school. You're talking about your Ringos or Fort Oglethorpes or, your Heritage. Play in East Hamilton, play a Central. I think that's another thing that needs to happen, but we'll see. Phil, over or under 1.5 state championships from Jackson DeKalb area?
Do what? Say again now?
1.5.
Oh, you're talking about this year?
This year, you got to have 2 state championships out of Jackson and DeKalb County.
I'm going to say there'll be 1.
Okay. Howie, over or under 1.5?
I hope it's over, but what kills the northern part of Alabama is the fact that the teams from the north have to play the teams from the south, and a lot of the teams from south are private schools, and they got their pickings.
Yep. Phil, have you read the article about the Thompson quarterback that evidently turned down millions of dollars to leave the state of Alabama to play football? He's a highly recorded junior now. Do you think the state of Alabama would ever open up to let NIL into high schools? They have many places. You can't.
They will. They will eventually. Usually we're a little bit behind on things like that, but in time, it's going to happen because if you're going to lose, big name kids to another state, even your college coaches are not going to like that because those homegrown guys you want to keep in state at least till they get to their senior year. Yeah, if they don't go to Alabama and Auburn, that's fine, but you don't want them to move into Atlanta, to Chattanooga because you may lose them. So there'll be pressure put on, and eventually we'll have that here.
The kid Buckhorn that played basketball, that's all Mr. Basketball in the state of Alabama. He transferred out of Buckhorn and went to Georgia.
Yeah,
I believe it was IMG that offered in Florida that offered to take the kid from Thompson, who I know won a state championship as an 8th grader. I know that much about him. So, Howie, you live in North Alabama. Who are some of the teams that you've heard grumblings about from the other regions that could be good?
You're always going to hear stuff about Cherokee County. They're always a powerhouse. Piedmont is kind of rebuilding a little bit after Coach Smith left, but they're a team that could be hard to deal with. Let's see, who's the other one? Coach Smith went to Westbrook, and he's turning that program around pretty quick. And them two are facing off this week, so that's going to be a huge game. With Phil, is it at Piedmont this year?
I want to say I think it may be at Westbrook. Yeah, I think it's at Westbrook. Let me look. Well, I've got the sheet here somewhere. Whenever I did it,
it's going to be a packed house with it being Coach Smith against his former team. Some of his.
It's at Piedmont. No, it's at Westbrook. Piedmont at Westbrook. So,
Howie, before I jump back over to Phil, any chance that the heaters are turned on?
This week, and we're in my house now. No, heaters never turn on in my house. Never.
It's kind of a running joke with Coach Smith and Coach Van.
You're talking about in the locker room. Oh, yeah. Hey, I would imagine, yes. Yes, definitely. So, yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Years ago, Sylvania went to Piedmont and played out there, and it was 90 degrees in that locker room. I couldn't stay in there but like 2 seconds, and I turned around and walked right out. It was so stinking hot in there. Of course, Coach Smith said he didn't have no control over it. He didn't know nothing about it. But
he probably did give you. I guess the thermostat went bad.
Howie said the Falcons are kicking off in 15 minutes. We'll have you out of here. All right.
Yeah, no problem. Well, y'all stay and talk all you want to. I'm leaving.
Well, I kind of want to leave too. 15 minutes. Phil Harris, who have you do your show, and it's a statewide show. Who from South Alabama or Middle Alabama might be a team that we've never heard of that's a good football team besides Clay?
There's several. Like in 1A, there's Leroy. In 2A, you got teams like Highland Home. Like one that's going to give two that's actually going to give Pisgah a fit. It'll be Tuscaloosa Academy, which is in the north, and also Coosa. Coosa has come on board. Let's see who else. T.R. Miller, I think, has got a real good team this year in Class 4A. They've made a lot of noise. They have struggled a little bit at times, but I think they've gotten themselves back on their feet again. I was trying to think. Of course, Gulf Shores has been good. I don't know if they're as good as they were last year. Of course, Thompson, they're always going to be good naturally. Gadsden City is kind of making their way up the 6A ranks. They may be a team that may go deep in the playoffs this year.
And that would be the opposite bracket to Scottsboro, would it not be?
No, Scottsboro's 5A.
Oh, why am I thinking 6A?
Yeah, that would be in Fort Paynes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Howie Chaney. I'm going to jump out of high school for a minute. You ready for this with your Falcon logo on?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to see Michael Penix play quarterback, start a game for the Atlanta Falcons in 2024.
Yes, sir, we will. Probably sooner than later.
If they lose tonight, it might come quick.
I don't think they'll throw them out there against Kansas City next Sunday night. That'd be a death trap. That would be bad. But it wouldn't surprise me if the week after that against Tampa Bay, I think it is, or the Saints won. I can't remember. We've got both of them in the next 3 weeks. So, we're going to see Penix for long if Cousins don't turn it around.
All right. Phil Harris, it'd be easy to ask you about Tennessee, Oklahoma this week. But I'm going to jump to college rank with you, and I'm going to ask you about another game. Who's going to get fired first? Billy Napier at Florida or Mike Norvell at Florida State? Well, Napier has such a huge buyout. It's going to be hard to get rid of him unless they just tank. I would think, of course, it'll be coordinated. Now, by the time he gets to Knoxville, that might be the end if he don't start getting things going in the right direction. They may give him the trip to Knoxville, but then they still end up buying him out anyway. I think Napier will last a little bit longer in this question. I just seem to think Florida's coach will go down first.
No, Norville will be gone. He hasn't done nothing in the last 2 years. You start out ranked 10th in the nation and lose. You're 0-3 right now. Norville, if he don't win this week, he's gone come Monday.
Who do they play this week?
It don't matter.
Yeah, I just wonder who it is. Of course, to listen to Norville, they played the hardest schedule in the country so far.
Georgia.
He said that. He actually said that.
Georgia
He said
Tech.
He said they played 3 powerhouses.
Okay, moving on. Howie.
Yeah.
How excited are you to see Alabama, Georgia on the same field in the regular season?
Florida State plays California Saturday.
Hell, they'll be 4-0, 0-4.
So,
Hey,
hey, it's going to be great to see Georgia and Alabama play on same game, regular season. It's going to lose a little luster with Nick Saban not being there, but it'll still be a great game. 2 of the powerhouses in the SEC that everybody's kind of trying to catch up to, and the way Tennessee looks like they're getting there pretty quick.
Yeah. Let me ask you: is in Atlanta, will you be the most hated man in the state on Saturday and loved on Sunday?
Yeah, people's always got mad at me because I always called the Georgia Dome the Bryant Denny of the East.
Yeah,
and they would be mad at me when I say that, but they would overlook it as well since since they sit around me all those times. So, but they really don't like it when I wear my shirt that says on Saturdays I say Roll Tide and on Sundays I say Rise Up.
That gets you in trouble over there.
It has.
Bill Harris, I have to ask you. I think it's the game of the year for the Vols right now. They need to come out and prove. We sat next to each other at every Tennessee game, but they really. I feel like this is the something to prove week for the Tennessee Vols.
Yeah, I feel good, and I posted this thing I made a message about, but I feel good about this week. I think they've got a great opportunity. But you have to look at the ghosts in the past. Like last year, they felt pretty good about themselves, and they went down, and things didn't go well down at Florida. And they kind of took a step backwards. But I think this team may be better. I know they are athletically, and they may be better mentally and physically to where if they have things go wrong, they're going to be able to stop it. They couldn't do that at Florida last year. If they have a bad play, I think they have the opportunity to stop it. So I think mentally and physically, this team is a lot better. And I don't know if Oklahoma is as good as people think they are.
We'll find out some stuff about Oklahoma this week. Go ahead, Howie Chaney.
You want to win every game. Don't get me wrong. You want to play hard every game, but do you feel like the Volunteers are going to give a little extra oomph this coming week with it being Josh Heupel going back home?
Hey, let me say it this way. I'll let Phil talk too. There's a fat guy on the sidelines that if he could score 100, will score 100 this weekend. And I don't think he has any animosity towards the University of Oklahoma. I think he's proud to be an Oklahoma graduate. But I still think there's some animosity how it was handled with him in 2014. And I think winning is a big deal to him this weekend, but he would say 0 publicly.
Yeah, well, Howie, going by what you said, I kind of sort of, and you're probably right, there's going to be a little extra oomph. And it's simply because when they ask players at Tennessee what it's like for playing for Heupel, what's the biggest thing? And they tell everybody that the biggest thing is we don't want to disappoint him. He always goes to bat for us, so we don't want to disappoint him. So I'm sure these guys are going to be a little bit extra focused because right now this is the most important game on the schedule. Yeah, you don't have to win it, but for Tennessee to be a contender at the end of the year, yes, you do have to win this one.
Good point. All right, I got one more question for both of you, and we kind of put a show together. We really need to get in here Monday, and again, Coach Kirby, your thoughts or our thoughts are with you. I'm gonna ask each one of you one question and kind of wrap it up, but it's the same question to both of you. I guess I got two questions. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention where I spent a better part of the last 20 years at Sequatchie County. Get a victory 21-20 over South Pittsburgh. On the last play of the game, South Pittsburgh goes for two to win it, and South Sequatchie stops them, wins the game. Shout out to the Indians who started the year by a heartbreaking defeat to Bledsoe County. So, Phil, if you were going to play out the rest of this high school football season in the North Alabama in your head, what would be a couple of things that might surprise us, or a couple of things that you think that could happen that most people wouldn't look at? Howie, same question to you when Phil finishes.
Well, I will be disappointed if Fife and Pisgah don't make a deep run into the playoffs. And really, truly, I think both of them got an opportunity to get to the finals. I just think they're that good mentally, physically. So I'll be disappointed if that don't happen. One I'm kind of looking at is I'm interested to see what Scottsboro does when it comes to playoff time if they stay healthy. Now, they're going to have to play Gunnersville, who's the number one team in Class 5A. But the winner of that game is probably going to, either both of them's going to host. So I'm going to be interested to see how that goes at the end of the year. I'm kind of want to see that. And then another one is Gadsden City. I'm interested to see how they are going to measure up in the 6A playoffs.
Interested. Hey, what's before we get to Madison Academy? I haven't heard their name mentioned. Are they struggling this year?
Yeah, they're down a bit. They had 22 seniors last year with that big Geraldine. So, yes. I mean, by the end of the year, they'll probably be good. But right now, they're kind of sort of trying to find their way.
And they also up to 4A as well.
Yes, yeah.
Same question.
Yeah, I agree with Phil. You expect Fife and Pisgah to make deep runs. If they don't, it's going to be a big letdown for both of them. You expect Scottsboro to have a pretty good run in the playoffs as well. If DeKalb and Jackson County don't get several teams in the playoffs, it'll be a big disappointment around here because they're all so good. And with it being the way it's set up, Valley Head being 1A and then Pisgah and all these others being 2As and 3 and all that, Jackson DeKalb County has a very good chance of having a ton of teams in the playoffs coming this year. If that doesn't happen, it'll be a big disappointment, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, you mentioned the Valley Head, Howie. Huge game at Valley Head Friday night. Spring Gardens 4-0, ranked in the top 10, takes on Valley Head, who's 4-0 at Valley Head. The winner of that one's got the inside track to win a region championship, and both of them may make a deep run into the playoffs. Valley Head has made it to the second round the last 2 years in a row. They're wanting to go further than that. And Spring Garden, I think, is good enough to make a deep run because Coosa's out. They've moved up to Class 2A. So I think it gives some teams in North Alabama a good opportunity. And Spring Garden and Valley Head, the winner of that game, could be a team to watch.
That was going to be my point, is we really didn't bring up Valley Head. But if somebody tells me Valley Head's in the third round of the playoffs, talk this year.
Yeah, definitely so. Yeah.
All right, either one got anything to close us out?
I know it's only the fourth week of high school football, but there's a lot of big games coming up this week. Phil said Valley Head and Sandrock. I mentioned it earlier, the Piedmont against Westbrook Christian And of course, the one that Phil and they'll talk about Friday night, father against son, with it being Plainview against Pisgah. You know that both of them teams are going to give it a little umph because they don't want they're all going to play hard. Don't get me wrong, but they're going to give a little umph because Coach Dale Pruitt, his players are not going to want Luke to beat him, and then also Coach Luke Pruitt's players not going to want the dad to beat him. So there's going to be a little extra umph on both of those teams there. And there was one more, Phil. Which other game was a big one that's coming up this week?
Well, I know there's a big one going on up at North Jackson. That New Hope North Jackson region game is going to be big because both of them have gotten off to a good start. And another big one, I think, in 6A will be May Jemison at Fort Payne. That's going to be a battle who could finish, on paper. I mean, you still got to play Gaston City, but on paper, the winner of that game's got a good shot of hosting a first-round playoff game. So, yes, there's some huge games.
And before we get going, let's give a shout-out to Connor Hughes.
Yes.
2 50-plus yard field goals, 55 and 57-yard field goals, and one of them was a game winner. So Connor Hughes, a friend of the show, been on here a couple of times. A big night this past Friday night, and he should be on the Alabama Spotlight this week.
Yeah, and that was a huge win for them because they were in danger of falling to 0-3. They were down 13-3, and Kevin kept giving me updates on it. Then they got it to 13-11, got the ball back, and then he nails a 55-yarder. Really and truly, he may have saved their season.
Yeah,
we've got a season saver ourselves up here. We're 1-3, but we have Loudon, who is traditional power in our region coming in Friday night. So it's the one chance, and last year it was the chance that it turned their whole season around, being able to beat Loudon at Hickson. A couple of games. We've got over in the valley, you've got Marion County, Sequatchie County, which is always a war too. So anyway, I this was a fun show. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed asking Howie questions about the Falcons, make him nervous.
Hey, man, I've been a Falcons fan for 30-plus years. They don't make me nervous. I'm used to disappointment, so it don't bother me.
Hey, don't worry. Don't worry. We've been a ball fan the last 15 years. You know how it is for us. We're in the same boat you are.
Yeah. We survived a lot. So, again, we'll get Coach John Kirby on here to talk a little bit down the road, maybe a couple weeks from now. Howie and I are going to, tomorrow night, we got should be a good show. We got Tanner Nelson and coming off the win against Geraldine. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I hope so. He told me the other night, he said, I'm going to try my best to get some people on here with us. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah, of course, they've got a big region game against Whitesburg this coming up. They've got to take care of business. And it's a game they should win, but you've got to take care of business. Got to put you set that Geraldine win on the mantle because it's important because it may host you a playoff game down the road, but you still got to take care of business.
And it's a First Christian's homecoming, I found out today. So, it's going to be, they're going to be a little bit extra fired up because of it being homecoming.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, I'm going to say it. Take the Falcons and the points tonight. I got the feeling they're going to play good. So that's probably a curse right there.
We're doomed for sure if you feel like they're playing.
Yeah, I'm calling the bookie now going the opposite end.
All right. He's Phil Harris. He's Howie Cheney. I'm Randall Cunningham. Good night. God bless.
Good night, everybody.